Hello and welcome to Act 3, Scene 3 of our reading and analysis of William Shakespeare's Macbeth. Where we last left off, Macbeth had told Lady Macbeth a little bit about his plans without actually telling her about his plans, and now we're going to see those plans put into action. So this short scene is pretty memorable for a lot of people because it is a return to the onstage action. And we haven't had a lot of big onstage action for a while. It's been a lot of talking, but here we get right into it. So as always, there's a link down in the description to follow along with the Folger edition online if you don't have a physical copy. But any edition of the play should work just fine. Okay, Act 3, Scene 3, enter 3 murderers. So if you're wondering, hey, weren't there 2 people hired to be murderers? You are correct. There were only 2, and now we have 3. And we'll talk about how some different directors have approached this additional murderer. But it's not a mistake on Shakespeare's part. Like sometimes it's just an editing mistake. Here we can tell from the first line that this is an intentional addition of a character. First murderer says, "But who did bid thee join with us, Macbeth?" It's third murderer. And then the second murderer to the first murderer says, "He needs not our mistrust, since he delivers our offices and what we have to do to the direction just." "Then stand with us," replies the first one. So the third murderer has only just said, "Macbeth sent me." And they're like, okay, well, he knows, our plan, so he must be from Macbeth. So again, intentional additional character. "The west yet glimmers with some streaks of day. Now spurs the lated traveler apace to gain the timely inn, and near approaches the subject of our watch." And the subject of their watch is, of course, Banquo. Third murderer says, "Hark, I hear horses." Banquo within, meaning like not on stage necessarily, says, "Give us a light there, ho." "Then 'tis he. The rest that are within the note of expectation already are in the court." So the second murderer knows that it's Banquo because everyone else they're expecting to appear at this party is already there. So Banquo has, I want to say parked his horse. That's not the right phrase. Has set his horses down in the stable or wherever he's keeping them and is walking the rest of the way in. And they know that it's Banquo, even though it's dark outside, because of checking off who's been appearing and who is still to come. His horses go about almost a mile, but he does usually, so all men do, from hence to the palace gate, make it their walk. So they walk in the last mile from the palace gate. So this is on Macbeth's property that this murder is taking place. And they're going to stage it like it happened elsewhere, far away. But they know that Banquo and Fleance are going to be taking this route because they are guests at this party that the Macbeths are throwing. Enter Banquo and Fleance with a torch. A light, 'tis he, stand to it." Banquo says, "It will be rain tonight, let it come down," is the first murderer, and then the 3 murderers attack. Banquo cries out, "O treachery, fly, good Fleance, fly, fly, fly. Thou mayest revenge, O slave," he dies, and Fleance exits. So a lot of people kind of lampoon the Shakespeare fight scenes because they tend to be this short. They fight, he dies, with a line or 2 in between. At least this one isn't, "Oh, I am slain," which is kind of a one that comes up every once in a while. But these tend to be really fun for directors and for groups of actors because Shakespeare doesn't dictate every single little thing you have to do. He leaves it very open-ended. So this fight would take a whole lot more time than what we're seeing on the stage. Most likely there would be an exchange of attacks and blocks and something interesting for the audience to see. But it is probably a short fight because it's pretty much 3-on-1 because Banquo intentionally sends Fleance away to try and buy him more time. So Banquo is dead at the end of this fight. Third murderer says, "Who did strike out the light? Was it not the way? There's but one down, the sun is fled. We have lost best half of our affair. Well, let's away and say how much is done." And they exit. And that is the scene. So like I said, really short, kind of memorable scene because we have a main character with Banquo who dies on stage. And we see it, unlike Duncan's death, which is off stage, or the guard's death, which is off stage, or the battle at the beginning, which is off stage. Now the violence is being brought in front of us. Now we are seeing a character die in front of us. And, that's an intentional choice on Shakespeare's part, that the violence is escalating. And we're seeing, not that we didn't know Duncan, he had a lot of lines and stage time, but he's only around for one act, and the guards are never even on stage. So we're seeing a character who's been around for a little bit. We're seeing a character who is a father to a young child lose their life on stage. So we see this escalation with Macbeth's paranoia. The violence in the play increases. The only other thing I want to talk about with this scene is that question of the third murderer. I've seen a couple different productions. The one I talk about all the time, the Patrick Stewart, Kate Fleetwood one, I think it's Rupert Gold is the director. And that one, it's a little more modernized. It's set in like the Cold War, World War II era. So instead of horses, it's a train. And they play it like one of the murderers gives a note to try and warn. One of like the first or second murderers gives a note to try and warn Banquo and Fleance what's happening. But it doesn't work. The fight scene happens. Banquo is killed. And then that third murderer kills the murderer who tried to warn them. In another production that I've seen at the Globe, which is very traditional Shakespeare style in London. And that one, the third murderer then takes out the first two murderers after they've done their deed. So sometimes directors play it like this person here is to clean up loose ends. Or there's less people to tell what happened. So it really makes those first two murderers really seem like the pawns that they are in 3-1 when Macbeth convinces them to go through with the murder. But it doesn't have to play out that way, right? It doesn't say in the play that any of the other characters are slain, but that's part of the freedom of directing a Shakespeare show. So you might notice that if you're watching a production, either live or in class or recording on your own, you might notice some of those changes, because why is there a third murderer? Sometimes directors try and answer that question. But either way, we have a major character who's died now with Banquo. But of course, Fleance escapes. Fleance flees. So Macbeth's prophecy that he's freaked out about Banquo being the son of kings is not totally snuffed out yet. He hasn't completely defeated the fate that he is called into the field of combat to see who would emerge as champion. But we'll see what happens in the subsequent scenes and the fallout of all of this. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. As always, if you're interested in some field notes, you can pick up discount code in the description to get 10% off your first order. Having a hard time getting it. There it is in focus. But yeah, they're fantastic. If you're looking for notebooks, helps out the channel, helps out a great American company, and a good place to put some notes about a Shakespeare play in. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you in scene 4. Thanks. Have a good one.